You and I both know that cats love to sleep a lot. Some sleep up to 16 hours a day. It's their way of storing up extra energy for all the jumping, chasing mice, and of course just playing. And you and I both know how much cats love to play. Sometimes, just like people, cats have trouble falling asleep. I found my cat Charlie, when he's tired and can't fall asleep, likes me to tell him a bedtime story. Now I know that sounds kind of strange, but it's true. This story I'm going to tell you is one that I wrote, and it's one of Charlie's favorites. And it's called A Little Orphan Kitty Makes Himself at Home. In an old garage is a pile of cast-off clothes that had been lovingly gathered together as a nest. And there lay a little black kitten. He stretched, opened his eyes, and yawned. He looked around and saw that something was very wrong. When he had fallen asleep, his mother was there. Well, so were his brothers and sisters, but now they were gone. The little kitten toddled over to the broken garage door where he could see the street. He hoped he might see them outside playing or see Mom teaching them how to hunt, but there was nothing. He felt tears coming to his little green eyes, and his tummy was churning. He wanted his mom, and he was panicking because she wasn't there. An old opossum named Tilly crawled out from her little den behind some boxes and went over to the little kitten. "They're gone," Tilly said sadly. He looked at his Aunt Tilly. Well, of course she wasn't really his aunt, but a close family friend. The garage had been her home for years, but she had let the mother cat have her babies there. "Where are they, Aunt Tilly? Mom wouldn't just leave me alone." He stopped and then added, "Would she?" Tilly shook her head. "No, little one, she wouldn't. She put up a fight. A man with a cage came and took them away." Aunt Tilly continued to explain. "She rushed to hide all of you when she saw him coming, but you're the only one she managed to hide before the man swept her and your brothers and sisters up. She put up a fight, but he finally got her into the cage and left with them." "Well, where did he take them?" he asked, staring out at the road, still in hopes that he might catch a glimpse of them. But they were really gone, and the little black cat felt very alone, something he had never felt before, and it scared him. Aunt Tilly could see how lonesome and afraid he was, and it broke her heart. "You can stay here with me until you find a home. My little ones are all grown up and gone now. I'd be happy if you stayed with me for a while." The little black cat turned away, and with his little head hung low and ears drooping, he went behind the boxes that Aunt Tilly called home, and there he fell asleep, both sad and very hungry. But Aunt Tilly, the opossum, had an idea, a plan that just might give the small cat a loving home. Almost every afternoon, old Mrs. Gilligan took a walk past the old garage. The elderly lady was always alone, and Aunt Tilly thought she and the kitten would make a perfect match. So, when it was about time for old Mrs. Gilligan to walk by, Tilly brought her young friend outside for some sunshine, and even though he didn't feel like being around anyone. He went out with Aunt Tilly and laid down in the sunshine beside some very colorful hollyhock flowers. Tilly made some chattering sounds to attract Mrs. Gilligan's attention, but she made certain that she herself was out of sight, because Tilly knew most people were afraid of possums. She never could understand how anyone could be afraid of her. Mrs. Gilligan spotted the little kitten and gave him a warm smile. "Hello, little one," Mrs. Gilligan said. But the little cat was afraid of people, especially after what had happened to his family. She held out a hand and walked slowly toward him, but he scampered quickly off to a safe hiding place, and Mrs. Gilligan sighed and walked on. "Why did you run off like that?" Aunt Tilly asked, but he didn't answer. "Mrs. Gilligan seems like a nice old lady, and she is all alone just like you. I think if you were to give her a chance, the two of you would become very good friends." "Well," he replied, why can't I just stay here with you, Aunt Tilly?" And she smiled. "I love you, little one, but an opossum's life is not right for a kitten. Mrs. Gilligan can give you everything you need, and you can give her something she needs. Lots of love." "Well," he replied, "do you think she's lonely like me?" "Oh, yes, I'm sure of it," Aunt Tilly replied, adding, "Her children are all grown up, and they've all moved away, and her husband, Willie, went home to be with Jesus a few years back. I'm sure she would love you." So the little black cat decided he would give it a try, and he thought, maybe I'll still find my family too. So the next day, about time for Mrs. Gilligan's walk, Aunt Tilly got the little black cat out by the hollyhocks, and then hid to see what would happen. As she did at nearly the same time every day, Mrs. Gilligan came walking by, but she didn't see the little cat, so he began following her. Soon she walked up the sidewalk to a large old house. It was where she lived. She stopped and unlocked the door, opened it, and went in. The little cat dashed quickly, catching Mrs. Gilligan by surprise. "Well now, what have we here?" she exclaimed. The little cat looked up at her, head tilted to one side as if to say, "Here I am, I'm home." She bent down, scooped him up, and held him close, and the little cat began purring happily. "I think we're already friends, my little one. I'm going to get you a nice cold saucer of milk. Then later we'll go to the market and get you some food, and a litter box too." She sat him down, and he began lapping up the milk. Just one other thing. "I can't just keep calling you little one," she said. "You need a real name. Now let's see, what suits a precious little kitten like you?" And she thought for a moment. "I know. Your name will be Stewie. Yes, Stewie Gilligan. And we will be very best friends." Tilly sniffed and wiped her eyes. She had been watching from a bush close by the kitchen window. Aunt Tilly was happy for little Stewie and knew he had found his home. So Tilly waddled back to the garage alone, the way an opossum likes to be, and Mrs. Gilligan and Stewie, well, they lived happily ever after. God bless, and have a great day.